Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friend Leigh Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. I am really excited, as I am every single week. I think I start the show with I'm very excited for this podcast because I am. It really is a purpose of mine, it's a passion of mine, and I am really looking forward to this conversation. If you are just listening to this for the first time, welcome. I like to think of this podcast as you being invited into my living room. We're going to hang out, we're going to chat, and you've brought some friends, aka you've told people about the podcast, and I've brought some friends as well, and we're going to have a conversation. The conversations every month we do a new series. The series this month is all around peace. And then we look every week at that theme or at that series from the lens of one of the pillars of the happy framework. That's something that I teach in my coaching. And it is health, affection for ourselves, purpose, partnerships, and youthfulness. And so this week we are going to be talking about peace and purpose and the power of living aligned. And that's going to be different for everybody. And it's also going to be different for you, depending on where you are at in your life. Your purpose will change. At least I hope it'll change, because that means that you're growing and you're going through different quote unquote seasons of your life. So we're going to talk all about that today. And then one of my favorite parts of the show is when you are watching live. So if you're listening to this in the audio, thank you. But my favorite part is when you come in Wednesdays at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, or whatever the equivalent is for you, and you watch us on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and you participate live. So when you comment, you come up on the show, and we get to have a conversation. So I do want to give the disclaimer that I am not a healthcare professional in any way. So if you hear anything, this podcast really is meant as a entertainment and education, but definitely not as a resource for getting diagnosed or treatment or anything like that. If you hear anything that you're like, oh man, that sounds like me, or oh wow, so-and-so said something about this treatment, I should try it, please make sure that you take all of that to a healthcare professional, somebody that you trust and that knows your particular situation. So all that being said, we get to go right into the talk. And today we're going to be talking about purpose and peace. So last week we talked about peace and how that kind of like intertwines with our health and our affection for ourselves, how it's really important, this kind of slowing down and this hustle that we all have, this slowing down really allows us to tap into these things that we need. And it allows us to find our happiness within our daily life. That's what the happy framework is all about. It's not about looking for happiness out there. It's looking for it here in this moment, what we're doing, and what do we have complete control over. And that is why those pillars are so important, because we have complete control over the behaviors and the actions that we take with our health, with the affection that we show ourselves, with feeling aligned and with purpose as we're moving through our day. The partnerships, all of the partnerships, the people that we are coming into passing with, and those bigger relationships in our life, and also our youthfulness. So let's talk about our purpose, and let's talk about the power of living aligned. What does that mean? So a lot of people are talking about it because, years ago it was the hustle mentality and we need to work harder. And, if you just go, then you're going to get all the success. You're going to get all of the happiness. You're going to get all of the bells and whistles that we think make a good life. And the truth of it is we don't. We just get on that hamster wheel and we go, and we might be able to rack up. Success and money and all of these things, but at what cost? And so when we have more of an aligned, meaning that we're living true to our values, first of all, we need to know what those values are and what really kind of brings us alive. What do we feel good? And when do we feel most like ourselves when we're doing certain things? So yes, sometimes we will have to do things that we just don't love. But we can still bring a piece of alignment to that, and showing up the way that we feel the best showing up as. And so some people may say, well, success and money, that is my value. And, without that, I can't really support my family and I can't do the things that we want to do. But what that statement is telling you, it's not the success or the money that you value. You value being able to support your family. You value being able to be dependent on. You value the experiences that you're having with your family. And so when you say things like that, but then you think the value is in making the money, then your bank account and your calendar are going to show that. You working overtime all the time, you working, extra hours, you missing the baseball game, you missing the birthday parties, you missing tucking in at night. Sometimes we'll have to do those things. But if we're confusing our value, then we're always going to feel like we are just out of reach of our happiness. If we understand what our value is and we say, okay, I need to make money to be able to support my family. I need to be able to go to work in order to be able to give the lifestyle that I want for my family. But if you're not putting time in to be with your family, then you're missing the point. Okay. So that's just one example of really tapping into seeing what are our values, and are we living into it? Is our calendar showing us those values? And so it's sometimes hard to do because we've been in this race for way too long. And it's like, well, I need to work overtime because that extra money is going to be able to pay for these extra things. What you might want to do is find out, are these extra things that you're paying for necessary, right? Are we kind of continuing this hustle mentality? And really, we value family and family time. If we can't do the things that we need to do to be with our family because we're trying to make the money to be able to do these extra things, maybe we don't need the newest version of the phone. Maybe we don't need the 15 extracurriculars. Maybe the kids would really love to have one extracurricular that they're getting into, one hobby that they're getting into, and the rest of the time they get to spend with mom and dad, and they get to explore that a little bit more. They get to spend more time with mom and dad. So we really need to see why we're doing the things that we're doing, and are they feeling aligned with what our values are? So I just made a couple of really quick, because I think this is going to be a really good conversation with you guys. I'm outside of the comments right now because for the audio people, I do want this to be kind of a flow. And so I will get to your comments, but that is going to be my favorite part. That will happen in about 5 minutes. But I do want to kind of go through and just explain a few things. So one of the things that I want to explain is that purpose brings peace. So having a sense of direction, it soothes our nervous system. And so in turn, it reduces our anxiety, right? So a lot of us are feeling like we're constantly on edge. And if you're feeling like you're constantly on edge, it means that you're really probably filling your life with a lot of shoulds instead of the things that you want to be doing. Purpose should not feel like pressure. It's an anchor in our chaos. So when things are just going crazy around us, the purpose is what should be grounding us. Us living in alignment to the things that feel good, that's going to just do that. It's going to feel good, even if it's hard work, even if it is, some things that you don't want to do, but you're going to feel good doing it because you know that it is aligned with what you value. People with a clear purpose, they live longer. There's reports that they have higher well-being and they actually recover faster from setbacks and from health problems. And one study actually said that purpose is associated with a 15% reduction in mortality risk. So if you're looking for that key to kind of unlocking longevity and, peace and the anxiety pill that will work. It's tapping into your purpose, what you really need. So then you can live your life in alignment, in an energy flow that feels good, that's peaceful. Both of those go hand in hand. So when your values and actions don't match, that creates an internal conflict. So now everybody's talking about burnout. You actually don't get burned out by working hard. That's not where the burnout comes. The burnout comes from when you're working hard on something that you don't want to be working hard on. Okay. So any entrepreneur can tell you that if you're working on the things that really light you up, you're not going to burn out. But if you are kind of having that internal conflict, like, I don't want to be doing this, but I have to do it. I should be doing it. I should be posting all the time. I should be, and you're not doing what your passion is. That's where you're going to have bitterness. That's where you're going to have confusion. That's where you're not going to be in flow and creative and doing the things that you need to do. Now, that's not to be said that you are going to have to do, especially in the beginning, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. But if they're aligned with the passion and the purpose that you have, then you don't mind doing that. And then as quickly as you can, outsource that stuff. Outsource the things that you don't like doing that will still bring you to where you want to be. So you just want to make sure that you are filling your calendar with wants instead of shoulds. Okay. And then the other thing is that you don't have to have, and we've talked about this a million times on the show, when it comes to purpose, you don't have to have this grand mission. I'm going to change the world. Peace comes from living on purpose in the little things, showing up with love, using your gifts, saying yes to what matters, and saying no with grace, making sure that you're not just saying yes because you think you should be somewhere, but saying, you know what, I'm double booked if you have to lie. But being double booked could mean, you know what, I can't go to your thing because I want to spend time at home with my husband. I had a friend that invited me to a concert on Friday, and he was like, hey, what are you doing on Friday night? Or on Friday. And I was like, well, I'm going to actually be at the hospital all day. But if you want to take a break, like, we can go for a walk, whatever. And he was like, no, actually I got tickets for the show. I was wondering if you wanted to come. And like, totally platonic, like just friends. He's such a great guy. And he's like, would you want to come? Now I could have lied, and I could have said, oh, I really got something going on that night, and I'm not going to be able to do it, but like, thanks so much. I was just completely honest. And I was like, you know what? I haven't done a lot of like extracurricular things this year. It's been a really tough year, and I don't want to go to something that fun without my husband. I want to be able to do those types of things with my husband. If I was doing them all the time, then yeah, I might go. But I was just completely honest, because I knew that if I would say, yes, I want to go, because I know it would be a fun time, I wouldn't be able to be 100% at that concert, because I would be thinking, gosh, I wish Mike was here. Gosh, I wish that, I'm spending 2 hours or 3 hours away from my husband, and I want to be with him because I don't get to spend a lot of time with him. So knowing what my value is, it makes it very easy to make the right decision, and right for me. Not right because society says that you shouldn't be going with a friend that's a guy. Just right because my value is nurturing my relationship with my husband, and doing fun things with him. And if I haven't been able to do that, if that is not on my calendar, I can't fill my calendar with other yeses. Does that make sense? So the other thing is that, and I talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show, is that I really want you to understand that you have 100% permission to redefine your purpose at any moment. Your purpose should be evolving as you evolve. Sometimes your purpose is going to be to heal. It's going to be more of a quiet time that I need to just really work on myself, developing myself, looking inside and healing what's inside of there. Sometimes it's going to be my purpose is to lead. I've really figured this one thing out, and I want to share that with the world, and I want to lead in a really strong way. And sometimes it's just going to be to rest. Sometimes it's just going to be, you know what, I don't want to do the work inside. I also don't want to do the work outside. I just want to rest. And that is another part of knowing what you need. So you have full permission to rewrite your story at any time. And peace is honoring your now purpose, not your big mission. It's where do you need to be now, and not clinging on to an old purpose or an old thing that's like, well, I've always done this thing. So some of the action steps, you guys know that I like to kind of give you a couple things that you could be doing. And just really easy. We do challenges all the time. And inside of those challenges, I always give you tangible action steps to be able to take the ideas that we're talking about and move them forward. Because without implementing any of this stuff, what does it matter? You're wasting your time. If you're listening to the show, as much as I love you listening to the show, if you're not going to take anything that you hear today and actually implement it into your life, then why bother listening, right? So some of the things that I would highly recommend is you doing things like the 3-minute clarity check-in. Okay. So that's just in the morning. You just ask yourself, what do I need today to feel purpose-filled, to feel peaceful? And write down just the first 3 words that come to your mind. And then you're able to, because the reason why I want you to write down the first 3 words that come to your mind, because I don't want you to start thinking, oh, but this is what I should be thinking. Your body will tell you. And when you first wake up in the morning, you don't have all of that logic around you. You're kind of just in this really cool spot in the beginning where you're just like a little bit in your dreamy state, just coming alive. And if you can ask yourself that, you'll get a very honest question or answer. So what do you need today to either feel purposeful or peaceful, or you can start with, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to feel? And then when you figure out what that is, then say, what do I need to do in order to feel that way? We have complete control over how we feel, even though a lot of the time it doesn't feel like we do. Another thing is I would challenge you to look at your calendar and do a values to calendar audit. Look at your week ahead, and I want you to see, does your schedule reflect your values? Does your schedule reflect the things that you say are important to you? And then cross out one thing that just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel like it's aligned. It doesn't feel like it's going to feel good. It's going to be a waste of your hour. And just, look at that and say, how can I either delegate this to somebody else or politely decline? And then I want you to replace that with something that does, whether that is taking care of yourself or taking, time to be nurturing your relationships with family or a friend or whatever that is, or your purpose, or maybe your passion project or whatever that is. So take that time. Just because you've said that you want to do something, I'm all about integrity. I'm all into saying what you need and doing what you say. However, if you have scheduled something and it just doesn't feel good, don't lie. Don't say, oh, you know what? Something else has come up. I'm really sorry. I can't do this. Simply say, you know what? I just don't feel aligned doing this. I'm going to send Carl to go and do this thing. Or, you know what? I know I said yes 6 months ago, but I was in a much different place. I really don't think that I'm going to spend an hour doing this thing or 2 hours doing this thing. And people will respect that. So do a values to calendar audit. Look at how you're spending your time and make the little shift. And then what I want you to do, another thing that you could do as many of these as you want. If you want to do all of them, great. Another thing that you could do is a peace anchor practice. So create a 1-minute ritual that you could do that kind of centers yourself. I think last week we talked about the tapping solution. It's really, really good. It's super, super quick. Like, it's a very easy way of you spend a little bit more time on each area, but that's basically what you do. It hits all these meridians, and it can relax you and calm your anxiety. Also, the physiological sigh, where you breathe in, and then at the top of the breath, you take one more breath and then breathe out. There's a lot of things that you can do that are very quick that will help kind of anchor you and bring you back to peace, bring you back to the moment. And I want you to think about what that is for you. And just get ready that before you're ready to start a new task, or when you feel that anxiety coming up, having that so you can recenter your nervous system. Having that, knowing that, and then being able to use it. It'll be difficult in the first couple times, but as you get there, it'll be kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. Okay. I've got some science, some things. I've already kind of told you some of the things that you can do by doing this peaceful purpose, being aligned with what we need. It does everything from allowing us to experience a more full life. It also allows us to recover quicker from illnesses. One of the things that I'm seeing a lot in the hospital is a lot of people that are here for a long time lose that purpose, lose that, what it's like on the outside. And I think that's also really important, is to always have something that you're looking forward to. So that being said, let's get back to the show and see if anybody is here. Oh, wonderful. So Pops made it. Hello, Pops. He says, might have to step away. The AC guy is here. Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, then that's okay. So it might be a little bit of a quicker show today, because this part is the part where I come in and I ask you guys, what are you thinking about this? How do you kind of align your life, or do you kind of just go with the flow and just like, okay, I got to go to work, and then I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I should do that? Do you take the time to really set up your life so then you're doing more of what you want to do? I'll tell you, when we're spending time doing what we want to do, setting kind of intention of doing the things that light us up, you have no idea how much that is going to trickle to everywhere around you. So I was at a networking event tonight, the first one that I have done, first one this year, actually. With everything that's been going on, I have not been doing networking events. And I went, so a friend of ours, a dear friend, he's such a wonderful man, Frank Aberzuzzi, shout out to you, man. He is really stepping into sharing his legacy, and he's really sharing, he's been in a leadership role for over 30 years, and he has so much knowledge and has been mentoring so many people that he has decided that now he's doing a podcast, he's launching a series of books, he's doing all these things. And so it was a soft launch for kind of his core kind of followers, fans. And so we were there tonight. And actually, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this. And a friend of mine, Bill, he came up to me and he was like, so you're not doing your walk and talks anymore. What's going on? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm not. And I loved it. I loved it. So inside of our private Facebook group, every day that I was going out for a walk in the morning, I would, put on my live and I would just give a little dose of inspiration. But I haven't been walking in the mornings. And I love walking in the mornings, and I just haven't been doing it. Well, I didn't realize that Bill listens to it every day. I had no idea, because he doesn't really comment. He doesn't really, share that he's there. But he was like, I really miss it. I really like, so can you please get back to it? Now, if that wasn't aligned with lighting me up, or if I didn't enjoy it, then I would have been like, well, I actually don't do that anymore. But I was like, you know what? Thank you so much for reminding me, because I do miss my morning walks and I do miss showing up that way. So I am going to bring those back, Bill. Thank you for the nudge. But it's just to say that when you're doing things that really light you up, it lights other people up too. When you do things that are aligned with what you need and it brings that peace, then you're able to show up in a way that kind of doesn't alarm other people. It doesn't trigger other people. It allows them to feel peaceful in your presence too. So it's really, really, really important. And so I'm really excited that we're talking about this all month, peace and all of the pillars. Britt says, I have always been a go with the flow kind of guy, but that is detrimental while battling depression. It is. So yes. Okay. So with that, I think it's really good to be able to go with the flow. But if the flow doesn't feel aligned, if the flow doesn't feel like it's invigorating you, it's not giving you something to thrive, if it's not, if you just don't feel aligned, AKA you feel depressed, you really need to ask yourself, what lights me up? What makes me feel good? So actually, let's do this. I made a couple questions. I actually got ChatGPT to do it. But I did see a couple of the questions that I thought were good, and I looked at them just before I came on the show. I know I normally don't. Normally, I ask ChatGPT to do it so that I can answer the questions, um, read them and answer them right away. But I saw a couple that I was like, you know what, I really want to ask this because I think they're good questions for us to ask. And Britt, I think that this will be really good for you too. So, when do you feel most like you? Okay. Given everything that's going on, giving everything, our circumstances change. Sometimes we're not able to do what we did when we were 15, 20, and we had that energy and that mobility. Sometimes we're not able to, live into that whole being. But what really makes you feel most like you? And if you're listening to this in the replay, please go ahead and comment, because I do get notified personally every time that you comment. So please go ahead and do that. You don't have to be watching this live. What makes you feel most like you? And then what is one should that you're ready to let go of? Those are the two questions. We're going to just do two. Normally we do like anywhere from 3 to 6. We're just going to do two today. Those two I think are really important, and I want you to answer those. So what do you feel most, when do you feel most like you? And what's one should that you are actually ready to let go of? What's something that you can take off of your calendar, or a priority that actually isn't a priority anymore? It's just something that you do that you can take off your should list. So Pop says, 1, honestly, I don't like the answer, but a couple of beers. Okay. So it's interesting that you say, I don't like the answer, but why is that? So A, why don't you like the answer? And B, why do you feel like it's a couple of beers that make you feel more like you? So is it that it relieves some of the pain? Is it that it calms your mind? What is it about it, and why don't you like it? So the reason why I'm asking you that is because if you can figure out why the couple of beers makes you feel most like you, but you don't like that it has to be beers, once you know why that's happening, maybe there's something else that you can do that you can tap into, really feeling like Brit again without needing the beer, So he also says, number 2, I should get or have a daily task to get me out of the chair more often. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So it's not exactly the answer to the question, which was totally fine. So this is a should that you want to add instead of one that you're ready to get rid of. So yeah, I think that's really important. And that's kind of like a purpose. Like that's wanting to get out of the chair. Why do you want to? Oh, visiting hours are now over. Okay, so we're almost done. So why do you want to get out of the chair? And that might be your good enough, like, okay, I'm going to just get out of the chair, and maybe you're going to like try to hit X amount of steps, because that in order to hit, like, look at if you have a Fitbit or like some sort of thing. Oh, hold on 1 second. Okay. So Brent says, oh, I was getting rid of the should. Okay. So let me reread that. I'm getting rid of that. I should have a daily task to get me out of the chair more often. Okay. So I don't get, but don't you want to get out of the chair more often? So like having a daily task would be good, but you want to get rid of that as a should and more. So I might be totally off, Brett. I'm sorry. Normally we're like so like in sync. I feel a little bit off today, so maybe it's my fault. So are you saying that you want to get rid of the shoulds of having a daily task and just like coming up with something that you actually want to do? Is that what we're doing? So you said, yes, I'm changing from should to done. Oh, got it. Okay. Yep. That's fair. Yes, because there's such a different energy. There's such a different energy with I should be doing this. Then like none of us want to do what we should be doing. I think a lot of it too is that like when we were growing up, there were so many shoulds that like we were forced to like learn a certain way. We were forced to dress a certain way. We were forced to do all of these things. And we kind of like lost agency at a very young age. And unless you were strong enough or you had people around you to be able to say, hey, yeah, be your own person. And so then when you get old enough, then you're like, okay, I just don't want to do these things anymore. Um, so it is a lot easier for us to find the things that we really want to do. Um, yeah. Anyway, okay. So you guys, so these two questions I think are really good for us to be asking ourselves. Britt, if I'm gonna probably wrap up. But if you want to, put comments in there about the whole 2 beers thing and feeling most like you, I'd be very curious about that. Because no judgment. You guys know, I think that's one of the things that you guys like about me is that I really don't. I shouldn't say that. I do have like the regular human that we judge people when we see people for the first time. But I'm actually not very judgy when it comes to anything. Any habits that people have, any addictions that people have, any life experience that they're going through or have gone through or whatever. We're all doing the best that we can with what we've got. So I'm really not saying that from a judgy point, like, why do you need 2 beers in order to be yourself? But the fact that you said that you don't like the answer, that's what I want to dive into. That's what I want to figure out more. And then what is one should that you're ready to let go of? I think we should always be doing that check. I think we should really be honoring what do we feel like we have to do that we don't want to do, and start eliminating those things from our life. Some of them we'll need to keep, and maybe looking at it a little bit differently. Like how can I inject a little bit more of me into whatever that should is, to kind of just like change it and make me feel better doing it, so anyway, I love you guys so, so much. Britt, thank you so much for being here. He says, oh, the way a couple beers affects my mind, my reactions, and I feel emotionally connected to myself. Oh, okay. Okay. So that is interesting that you feel emotionally connected to yourself when you have a couple beers. That's really interesting because sometimes people are doing that so then they can kind of like tap out of emotionally connecting with themselves. So that's interesting. Don't like it because it's not practical in many means. Right. Okay. So if it's altering, then yeah, you can't always just be doing that. And that's fair. I wonder if there is some other activity that you could be doing that could like maybe types of meditation, types of prayer, types of things that can get you to affect your mind the same way. That might be interesting. If you can tap into that, so then you start feeling emotionally connected to yourself, and not needing the beer. So then it is more practical, just curious. Anyway, I love you. Britt, thank you so much for being here. The show would have ended about 15 minutes ago if you weren't here. So I love you, love you, love you. Give your beautiful wife a big hug for me. And if you're listening to this in the replay, let me know that you're here. I love you guys. Don't be like Bill. Don't be listening to the stuff and not telling me until you see me months later and tell me that you love the show or that you're missing the things that I'm doing. Just be a part of the show. It's my favorite part. So I will see you guys next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we were going to be talking about peace and partnerships. I think that's going to be a really good conversation. So please bring a friend, maybe your partner with you. And I will see you next Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, or whatever the equivalent is for you. In the meantime, I wish you a happy, happy week. Love you. Bye. Oh, Pam's here. Love you too. All right. Bye.